moderator, we just,
We're supposed to stare at one another awkwardly. Okay, so
We could do that.
you pick somebody, and we're talking about side eye, stink eye. So if you want to give some stink eye, go ahead. Not me. Yeah. You've got some lethal stink eye there, sir. That's rough. That's rough. No. Wharf stink eye. Can we see some wharf stink eye?
No.
No? Okay. No.
It's a CHiPs panel.
This is a CHiPs panel, sir. Quit crossing dimensions.
No, we're all smiles. And, so,
Well, does anybody have any questions, or are we done?
He's having fun this morning.
yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Michael Palmer,
You can put
and,
down the thing just for a second.
okay,
There, that's better.
okay. My name is Michael Palmer, and I'm from Outlaw Renegade Nation, and I would like to ask the entire group what you thought of that travesty of a remake, but Mr. Pine, I would like to especially ask you, a certain question, is knowing how the crossover between CHiPs and Star Trek has happened, I would like to ask you, who was a better Kirk? Your son or William Shatner?
What the hell do you think
I just wanted to know.
Look, this could be a very political answer. They're both very good, but they're different. And Chris made a choice that he wasn't going to copy Shatner. Shatner's Shatner, and he's Chris Pine. So, you know, and I didn't bring up Mr. Shatner, but I did bring up Chris Pine, and I love him, and he can do no wrong by me. So.
It was asked in jest.
Wait,
Hi,
what's the
thank
other-
you for
you had
coming.
another
I'm very
question.
excited. I'm just curious, how many people had to learn to ride a motorcycle to do the show?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you because Johnny was talking.
How many had to learn how to ride a motorcycle to do the show? Yeah?
Like all of us? Yes. Well, I rode motorcycles all my life, and that was probably a problem because we went and trained with the California Highway Patrol, and you know, you're riding a big, heavy, fat bike that's clutch and brake instead of anybody can ride fast. Most people can't ride a heavy bike slow. So clutching and braking and balancing the bike so you're riding a figure eight is a difficult task. But notwithstanding that, we still had accidents and wrecked the motorcycles. Eric had an almost fatal accident where he grabbed the front brake, high-sided the motorcycle, hit him in the sternum, ruptured his aorta, and they thought he was going to die. The priest gave him the last rites, and he actually lived and then missed about, and then he did about 6 or 7 weeks in the hospital and finally came out. So motorcycle, a dangerous vehicle. I recommend most people stay in cars, but we had good training.
So he ruptured the aorta.
They thought he did, and then they helicoptered him to UCLA and then had to do surgery.
Yeah, I remember he fell one other time at the very beginning. It just scraped up his arm, really, really bad.
Actually, he fell every week.
We had, I remember, before the pilot, we were over at MGM on a Sunday, and I really had to learn how to ride the bike. And I remember on a police bike, you accelerate, on these police bikes, you accelerate here, which you do on any bike, and if you let go, usually it goes back to 0. But on these bikes, you had to manually do it. So I'm going down this thing, and I have to go either right or left, and I think, oh God, I'm going a little fast here. I'm feeling pretty sparky. And so I better slow down. Like, whoa! And I speeded up, and I went right into the wall. Yeah. It dented the bike. My ego was injured very badly, but nothing else was. No. I was never, and they only wrote me in on the bike about once every 3 episodes.
There actually was a very, very interesting story about bikes, and when I read for the part, I read and they said, oh yeah, well Michael, nice job, whatever the case, but we're going to go with this other guy, Leon Isaac Kennedy. Remember him?
Yeah.
And so they said, hey, look, but if anything happens, we'll give you a call. And usually that means, don't call us, we'll call you. And I went, oh yeah, thanks, great, bye. But 2 weeks later, I get a call. They say, they want you to come back in and read again. And I guess what happened, along with a lot of other stuff, he said he could ride a motorcycle. And they put him on a motorcycle, and he hit the same wall, I guess. But except it was a bad crash. I think they called and said, and I went in and I said, oh God, it's going to be great, be riding a motorcycle, because I've ridden too. And they go, no, we're not going to put people in motorcycles anymore. You're going to be in the car.
Put him in the car, of course, luckily.
Yeah.
One last story. One time, talking about actors, always, actors go on interviews. They say, "Can you ride a horse? Because it's a western." Oh yeah, I can do that. Can you ride a motorcycle? No problem. Yeah, this is going to be some chase scenes. Can you do some of the chasing? Yeah. And then there's a fight scene on top of it. Yeah, we can do that. Right. Typical actors usually say that. Unfortunately, one day I was doing a nonprofit organization in Florida raising money for veterans. And the postman, I can't remember his actor, you may know him, that played the postman on Cheers, the mailman.
Oh, yeah.
John
Ratzenberger.
Yeah, Ratzenberger. So he was a really nice guy, by the way. But for John, they said, we're going to ride from Daytona to Orlando on the motorcycles. We'll go down to Daytona at the Harley Davidson shop, pick up the motorcycles. You guys, you and a couple vets will ride up there. I happen to be a vet, Vietnam vet, by the way. And so we went and got on the motorcycles, and the guy in the Vietnam vet with the headband and probably crawls on the rug at night with a knife in between his teeth. He was really going at 80 some miles an hour. So I'm behind John, who's in second, if you will, and I'm in third position. And I'm watching John going around the corners, reminding me something. And I know when people start going too fast, sometimes they freeze. Well, he went around the corner on the freeway, hit a viaduct, tore his bottom off, broke his ankle and everything. So don't say you can ride if you can't.
I have another story about, I directed 2 episodes of CHiPs. And I read this guy, and he was very good at it. And so we set up this shot. He's supposed to run out, hop in his car, he's a bad guy, and race out. So I told him, I said, now you come out and get in the car and we'll see. You look both ways and hop in and take off. And he said, I don't drive. I said, wait, what do you mean you don't drive? Now, I probably should have asked him, does he drive? But there's some things you just take for granted when a 30-year-old guy comes in and reads. How'd you get to the interview, Puss? So he says, well, I'm from New York. We don't drive in New York. Oh, God. Well, you just put the camera further back and have a stuntman do it. But, yeah, actors say they can do anything.
And also, the gentleman had asked about what you guys thought about the reboot. I don't know if that's something you can or cannot talk about.
I didn't see it, but from what I heard.
No, they didn't contact you guys about anything about it.
No, they contacted me whether I'd come down to Palm Springs and do a thing at the premiere, and I said, I had nothing to do with it. I have nothing to say about it. Count me out. I mean, I wish him luck. It's very hard to make a motion picture. It's very hard to make a motion picture. And everybody has the best intentions, even if they have terrible taste. Because tastes range all over. The people with terrible tastes out there love bad taste movies. So who am I to say? I wish them all the luck in the world. Didn't work out.
I think they messed up the franchise. CHiPs had a certain kind of brand, and it doesn't transition perhaps today as it did in yesterday. I sat down with my wife. I always tell this quick story that I told her, "Come here, CHiPs is rerunning now on MeTV, and you need to sit down here with the hunk, and we'll watch the show." She watched about 5 minutes and looked at me and said, "Pretty dorky."
Yeah, that Larry's actually absolutely right, and I was always disappointed. The studios want to make a new version of it for the new people out there. The thing about our show, and I have a promo thing that Rick Rosner created, it took to NBC, and it was just like a 3-line description of what the show was, and it's a show that the whole family can watch. And afterward, you forget it 5 minutes later because it's not a deep, deep thing. But you have the bad guys and the good guys, and in the end, the good guys win. And you can watch it with your whole family. And the fact that you couldn't take somebody who was a father now couldn't take his child to this picture. I mean, that defeats the whole purpose of what we were about.
If you guys want to play air guitar at any time, just go ahead. But we've got.
That's Eric Estrada.
During the span of the show, did you all have to learn? I know the motorcycles changed. Did you ride the same motorcycle for the entire show, or did they give you new ones you had to learn to kind of maneuver with the weight and
I
things?
think we did that. We went from a 900 to 1,000 to a BMW.
Did you go to BMWs?
Yeah, and Chip 99.
I think we started with Kawasaki 900s, and then the next year they went to the Kawasaki 1000. So we rode the 1000s all the time, but each day you would come, it may not be the bike you were riding yesterday, but it was a 900. And they're all pretty similar. Sometimes clutches or something need a little bit of adjustment, but not a big deal. And then we had the BMWs and the Chips reunion. BMWs are really different, shaft-driven bike versus chain-driven, and a lot of torque. And but there's a funny little story about BMW, so I hurried up and contacted BMW because I like to make deals. So I called BMW and said, hey, we're going to do this show, and I need some free motorcycles, right? So they gave me about 5 different motorcycles, and so I would ride to work on Chips 99 on one of the motorcycles, new motorcycle each day. It was really a lot of fun because these are all brand new motorcycles, right? But when we went to do the stunts, the BMWs had pegs instead of footboards, and when you go off jumps and stuff, the pegs would break off, which are really dangerous if your feet hit the ground on a fast-moving motorcycle, and you're jumping curbs. And so we took the Kawasaki and put BMW fairings on it to make it look like a BMW. And we did all the stunts on Kawasaki's because they're a stronger bike. Ha ha ha, BMW. But then, let's go ahead, Bob.
I was just going to put a plug in here for my family. The spokesman for BMW is Chris Pine.
May I say something? Yes.
You again?
Who am I again? I've seen like your son's movies,
Yes.
and for some reason, my girlfriend and I nudge each other because we go, "There's going to be a motorcycle in this someplace." In every movie, even Wonder Woman,
Yes. Yes.
a motorcycle.
That's true. That's true.
There you go. Now the mystery's solved.
I tell people that I just came this close, a generation away from being a big movie star. And I also was that far away from being a good motorcycle rider.
Yes.
Yes, this is for anybody. Coming from a law enforcement background on my side, how much training, or did you all do any training with California Highway Patrol or any other agencies before you started?
No. All they told me.
That explains it all.
All they told me was, "Don't draw the gun."
We never drew the gun on the show.
One time.
One time, yeah, with a Brixit. I went out on a patrol with a sergeant one night. I think just the people who did you ever do that? Yeah, we went out. Who was the guy? The sergeant, the guy who. Wilson? No. Anyway, but yeah, I think Eric did too. And before the first season, but after that, we didn't. We always had somebody on the set from the Highway Patrol who took us through whatever and watched what we did, that was proper and everything, so.
We didn't do a lot of training, but we always had technical advisors. But interesting that you asked that question, because recently I was trying to do a new motorcycle show about the CHP when I was calling it an academy. And I talked to the commissioner and wrote a proposal and everything to produce a television series about the police and their training. And he said, we're never going to do that, Larry. And I said, well, why? It would be a great show. You have self-defense. You have, all this stuff that you teach police officers. He said, because we don't want the people out there that are causing the problems to know about that. So I said, okay, nice try, Larry. Good idea. Yeah.
Let's see
By
those.
the way, my partner here on my left, we're talking about motorcycles. He probably is too humble to talk about this, but I'm going to bring it up. So I was kind of a wannabe pilot, and I bought this old airplane called a Navion, and I would sometimes fly the location and park my plane. Cockpit would get out like Tom Cruise. Nobody noticed. And one time I flew into Utah with my wife, and we were going fishing or something up in Wyoming, and somebody says, are you the guy from CHiPs, Larry Wilcox? I said, yeah. Is this your old piece of shit airplane? Yeah, dude, don't call it that. Yeah, so excuse my language, but that's what he said. And but one day I'm at Van Nuys Airport, which is my favorite little airport, right? And I really love aviation. I'm a groupie, like some people are about films and stuff. I just love aviation. And I'm walking around, there's I always wanted a P-51 or an F-86. My fantasy was A-4, because I got to fly the Marine Corps in A-4s and do all those high G-force pullouts and stuff. And I walk up there, and there's a cool F-86. And I said, whose is that? You don't know, Larry? No. That's your buddy from CHiPs, Michael Dorn. I said, he owns an F-86. Yeah. We ought to hear him about all his airplanes. They're a lot better than motorcycles.
Well, yeah, I was, in fact, a couple of times when we were on the show, Larry was learning how to fly, and his pilot, driver, Arnie, he was very funny, because he says, you guys want all these cars and the expensive cars, get an airplane, And so Larry started learning how to fly, and a couple of times he invited me out, and I was late one day, and they had already left, they had to go, so I never was able to fly, and I always had that in the back of my head. And when I got the show, I got on Star Trek, there was a guy named Greg Benson, and we would sit behind the set, and we had a map, like an air map, instrument map. What do you call it? See, I'm a great pilot.
Is it on the instrument panel?
No, it's the California map. California.
Yeah,
It's
charts.
Charts.
Yeah.
Thank you. And we would say, how long would it take if we were flying this? And how long? And he goes, Michael, you got to learn how to fly. And I go, yeah, I tried, but he says, you might as well go and check it out. And I went to Santa Monica Airport. First flight, crazy. So I learned how to fly, and it was great. And then one year, I think the second season or third season, I get a call from this guy, Tim Berry, who is the producer on Cheers. And he said, hey, Michael, and I was crazy about flying, Anyway, so he says, one of the actors on our show was supposed to go fly with the Blue Angels, but he bailed out. Would you like to go with the Blue Angels? Like, are you kidding me? Yes. And so I got this great picture. I had a twin Cessna at the time. I flew that down to El Centro, and they parked me between the F-18s, and it was just. And from that moment, yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, okay. And from that moment, I was hooked on. I'm like you. I just love military aviation and love the airplanes. And from that moment, it was incredible, because, as Larry knows, it's a small community. The military aviation community is a small community. Everybody knows what's going on with everybody else. And so once they knew that I loved it and that I was a pilot, I started getting invited to all this stuff. Oh, we'd love you to come out to this air show. we can't pay you, but we can give you a ride in something.
Yeah, right, that's like being an actor.
I know. I go, what do you got? And the guy would say, oh, well, F-16s, okay. Would you like to, F-8, sure. Would you like to? And so I would get all these rides in this incredible stuff. B-1 bombers flying low level and doing, I mean, it was just crazy. And the last thing that happened was that the guy said, well, there's two stories. I flew with the Blue Angels, and then I kept doing videos for them every year, narrating their promotional videos. And so one year they said, well, we can't pay you, but we're going to give you a ride. And I go, well, I've already had a ride, you don't know that. And they only give one per customer. And they said, no, in formation. So I was going to go, whoa. And I go, okay. So the first time they said, go down to Miramar and we'll give you the first, okay, great. So I go down to Miramar and I got bumped by a gentleman. Oh. Got bumped, I said, okay, well, all right. But don't worry, Michael, we have another ride coming up in Point Magoo. Great, so I go up to Point Magoo, and as we all know, it's always bad weather. Foggy. So they said, well, Michael, I'm gonna go out, the boss, I'm gonna go out and see how bad it is. And so he went out there, and he took off and turned, and he was gone. He was, and he came back, he goes, no, I'm sorry, Michael. I go, okay. He said, but we have another ride for you. So I go up to Oakland for Fleet Week. Great time, beautiful weather. I actually go into the briefing that they do, that sort of like kind of odd thing that they do before they fly, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, super cool. And we go out to the airplane, and I jump in, and the camera's on, and I'm just smiling, and the canopy comes down, and you hear Bitch and Betty, the little thing that talks to the pilot, right? Says, left aileron, left aileron. And he goes, huh. And so the maintenance guys, and they're out there taking out boxes and putting in stuff and trying it, left aileron, left aileron. And they try something else like 20 minutes out there. And finally the guy goes, Michael, I have good news and bad news. The good news is we've got another airplane. The bad news is you can't go with us. Aww. So the canopy comes out, and I get out, and I'm walking back, and the poor little sailor comes over and goes, oh, Mr. Dorn, we have your video of the flight. And to this day, it cracks me up because the video is me getting in the airplane, canopy comes down, canopy comes up. But it was,
You can edit that.
Nobody comes down, jets going off.
Yeah.
But the last time was I got to ride in an F-18 on a carrier.
Oh God, that's great.
And once again, I do all my water training. I take off from Lemoore Naval Air Station in Central California, go down off of San Diego. I think it was Abraham Lincoln. And once again, it's like they always say, you're flying around. He says, okay, Michael, there's the boat over there. And I'm looking, and there's this little boat way out in the distance. That's what we're going to land on. So on the way down there, I'm flying, and he lets me fly, and I'm all over the place. I mean, I'm doing loops. And he says, Michael, you can't do that. I'm on a flight plan. They'll kill me. Yeah, right. Who cares? So we get down there, we do the stuff, incredible stuff, takeoffs and catch shots, 4 or 5 landings. And we head back, and he goes, okay, Michael, you got the airplane. And I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna be good this time. And I'm flying. And I'm just altitude and heading right on. And I'm like, oh, this is nothing. I mean, I can do this. And then just at some point, I don't know what I did, but I just kind of went like this with the stick, and nothing happened. He had cut me off. Cut me off. And I go, Brian, what's going on? He says, Michael, I couldn't stand it anymore. But to put a button on this long story, the thing that I loved about it was the flying was great, but what really impressed me more than anything else was you go out to the carrier, you go out to all these places, and they have kids working like dogs out there. I mean, they are, you're talking about 18 years old, and they're working on millions, hundreds of $1 million airplanes, and 18 hours a day, and, you know, covered in grease, and, you know, up on the flight deck, which is the most dangerous place, and these are kids, you know?
I have a duck in my pocket.
They're too many. And they, but that was, is that Chris?
It's my Asians.
And, but that to me was the most meaningful part, was that, and when you guys know, when you go to these places, they are so happy to get any type of recognition, because, you know, the officers and all these guys, they get all the good stuff. And these kids are the ones that are really working their butts off, and I was so impressed by them. And I've always...
Then you went and bought an F-86.
Then I bought an F-86, and that was about the coolest thing, because
I never got my ride.
it's a single seat.
No,
It's a single seat.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, you can.
You can win one.
You can win. But the cool part is that when you learn in the two-seat T-33, and then your first flight in the F-86 is your solo flight.
Wow.
And I'm walking out with my helmet bag, and I'm going, holy shit, what am I doing? I don't know, you know. And so it was, but it was a great airplane. It was, you know, I put you in it. You could get in it, and as long as you know the airspeeds, you'd fly it. Such a great airplane. Anyway, that's my aviation.
It's great. You know, that's one of the great things about, you know, when you gain some recognition in our business, you get invited to some of the most wonderful things, where these great opportunities that, you know, the ordinary people don't get a chance to do. So we're very privileged in that regard.
So Larry, this question's for you. You and Eric Estrada had to learn, or had to do a lot of different things on the show: roller skating, riding bicycles, riding horses, riding motorcycles, riding just everything. Did you have to learn to do any of those, or was it mostly stunt doubles, or what?
Yeah, I did everything. No, I was just the worst roller skater in the world, and so I could roller skate from here to there and grab the wall, right? And usually a stunt double would do it for me. So, and then they wanted to do the roller dancing thing, you know, like, are you serious? I can't even roller skate now. I got to dance on them. And so I didn't really do that either. You know, I did some stunts, like I rode the motorcycles. I did all of them. Hang gliders, didn't do that either. They hung me from this big crane up there, and I'm like, I'm hang gliding, you know, but didn't do it. Rodeos, I did that because I'm a cowboy, so I did all the rodeo stuff. Fight sequences, I did all those, and on tops of buses, and, you know, cabled off on a bus and stuff. And that's a kind of a little cute story. I'll try to do it succinctly so I don't do a microphone hog here, but
We've had enough of them.
my sergeant, you know, he always does this to me. And so we were doing a fight sequence in Chips 99, and so that he said, you know, you'll do this fight sequence, and then you'll fall off the, you'll beat the guy up, but we're going to cable you off on the bus in case you fall off. What do you mean I fall off? They said, well, we were going about 30 miles an hour, and it's dangerous if you fall off. So, okay, so let's fall off first. So what do you mean? I said, I want to fall off to see where I dangle at as I'm going down the highway, right? And so I fell off, and it's kind of weird, but I'm dangling down there, and that's okay. So I know that I'm safe if I fall down. So we went and did the fight sequence. It was all good. Lots of camera angles, low angles, shining round, all this stuff. Great stuff. Okay, and then there's all the thing where they say one more time, like a good alcoholic, one more drink. That's all I want. Right? No, well, you don't want to do one more time because the stunt coordinator had scouted the location from this end to this end, right? So we did it over and over and over, and it's perfect. Now we're starting here. So our start point's from here down. We hit a low-hanging oak tree, took the back of the head off the cameraman, took the camera out, and I have luckily, thank him, fallen down, and my fight sequence would have killed me. So, yeah, I did some of them. I don't really like to do stunts. I don't have any ego about doing stunts, and I think that actors that say they do stunts, I'm pretty dubious about whether they really did them all. But I suppose some do, but I'm not so sure.
You know, people ask me about that. I said, usually on our show, when you see our faces, of course, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, but most of the time, when you can't recognize who's doing it and it's something hairy, they're stunt people, because there's also insurance things. If we kill one of our main characters, the show has to shut down forever or whatever, replace the poor guy. So, you know, they don't like to do that. But there are, as Larry said, there are some actors who say, I don't do my own stunts.
You know, it's funny what Larry's talking about, because you have a tendency to, you know, to listen to these guys, and sometimes you get a feeling, you know, about them when they say, oh, no, it's a problem. No, it'll work. You know, you go, oh, no. You know, oh, no. Like you said, you know, he says, can we do like a fall so I can see? And they're going, why would you want to do that? You know, you're like, well, wait a minute, you know. So you really, and the thing is, you gotta go with your instinct. You know, the one thing I did, because after the show, there's a lot of, a couple of movies were guns. And I said, and they always kind of looked at you like, oh, God, you know, actors. When you say, show me the gun, I want to see it empty, and also, if you take it away and bring it back, I want to see it again. And they would say, okay, here, Michael, because they'll say, and then a couple of times they'll say, okay, Michael, this has blanks in it. We want you to aim at the guy. And I go, I'm just not going to do that. You know, I mean, it's just, you can move the camera and do things certain ways so it doesn't look like, you know, you're aiming away, but you are. And it's just, you just got to be really careful.
There have been some bad accidents that the guy had a gun with a blank in it, and he put it to his head like, I'm joking, and he killed him. And now it's required, I believe, of stunt guys to show you the gun, show you it's empty and everything, so everybody feels safe about it.
One time when I was doing Lassie, and way back in my younger days, you know, they would sometimes harass you to do stunts, because I didn't know any better. I was a kid from Wyoming. Gosh golly gee, so happy to be in this television series, and I was housebroken. So they said to me, you don't mind doing a couple stunts, do you? And I said, no. So I jumped in the Stanislaus River, and they said the scuba divers down there have the rope across the river, so they'll be down there, so don't worry about you're jumping in your cowboy boots and Levi's and all that, but they'll be there. You know, you'll rescue Lassie, swim to the side. Sure enough, I run out there, rescue Lassie, right past the frogmen, right? Nobody rescued me. I'm grabbing willows and everything, trying to get to the side. And then later on, they said to me, so that was my first inkling that I probably shouldn't be doing stunts, right? No matter how safe they say it is. They said, I did this movie for Disney called The Bull from the Sky, another one of my big masterpieces. And so I don't know if the bull was the star or I was, but anyway, I'm supposed to be this cowboy that rides bulls, and they said, would you mind riding this Brahma bull? He's trained, he's neck reined him and everything, right? I said, I can ride him, and they said, I said, you gonna buck when I ride him? And they said, no, he won't buck, but you're gonna ride right down here, and the tiger's gonna come running down.
Oh my God.
And what do you mean the tiger? And I'd just done a Disney movie with a bear where you do a clacker, clack, 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 and the bear chases you, right? But he's catching up with you, it's scary, right? But he didn't get me ever. He always would kind of stop, so it was kind of cool. Well, I said, that tiger is gonna get me. They said, no, you're being a baby. I said, no, that tiger will get me. I guarantee you can't move animals together like that, you know. And for my Wyoming days, guys training little bobcats and growing them always turned on them, right? Sure enough, I said, I'm not riding the bull. Oh, you're a big baby. You're acting like an actor, you know. Come on. And so I said, I'm not doing it, dude. I'm not going to ride the bull. So they made the trainer who trained the tiger ride the bull. And guess what? Tiger got the bull, tore the back hindquarters completely off, and was going for the trainer. So stunts, I'm not too cool on stunts.
You know, this is a funny stunt story. When I was doing a Virginian, you know, when they have fights, you can fool people by the camera. And I was having a fight with this guy who's right here. The camera is behind, shooting this way, and all this guy has to do is when I punch, he goes like that and looks like I punched him. And this guy's a big, burly stunt guy. And I'm supposed to be this guy from the East who fights like this. So you can miss him by this much. Okay, so I'm going like this. I get my adrenaline going, right? Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I hit him right on the end of the nose. Not hard, but right in. And if you've ever had that, it stings. And it's getting red. The eyes start to water a little bit. I said, oh, God, I'm so sorry. No problem, no problem. You know, because he's a stunt guy. So we do it again. I hit him again.
Do they call subs in for stunt doubles sometimes?
Pardon?
Can they call in like a pinch hitter in that? And he's like, sub!
Yeah, well, I missed him by about this much the next time.
Well, gentlemen, I think we were just about out of time. It's gone way too quickly. But guys, give it up, please.